Jesus once told a parable that challenges the way we see choices and consequences. The end of one story can be the beginning of another. In a distant time, a young man made a bold decision. He asked his father for his share of the inheritance, something that rightfully belonged to him only after his father's death. That choice would mark the beginning of an unexpected journey. He left behind the comfort and safety of home, eager to explore the world with his newfound wealth, unaware of the hardships awaiting him. The parable of the Prodigal Son is a profound account of family dynamics and the struggles we face when our decisions lead us away from those we love. Along his path, the young man experienced both glory and downfall, becoming a vivid portrait of the consequences that can arise from our choices. But this story is not only about failure. It reveals the possibility of finding the way back to love and forgiveness no matter how far we've gone. That return begins with a single act of will, the desire to rediscover meaning through genuine repentance. Welcome to A Vision of Heaven, where we explore stories as old as time, yet always relevant to our days. Subscribe for more narratives that inspire and reconnect us with the deepest roots of divine wisdom. That morning, the young man awoke earlier than usual. He felt anxious, a mixture of determination and hesitation stirring within him. He had decided it was time to have a difficult conversation with his father. As he walked down the stairs, he found his father already seated at the table, the soft light of dawn filtering through the windows of their home. Taking a deep breath, the son approached and, without delay, asked for his share of the inheritance. It was a daring and, in many ways, painful request. Traditionally, an inheritance was divided only after the patriarch's death, a symbol that he still lived, present and active in the family's life. The father lifted his eyes from his meal, surprised, perhaps hurt. Yet he showed no anger. With calmness, he agreed. He knew that holding his son by force was no solution. True love often means allowing those we love to make their own choices, even if it means letting them go. And so, the father divided his estate, giving the younger son his rightful portion, an act that carried not only material value, but deep emotional weight. From that moment on, something in the family's harmony began to shift. The older brother watched in silence, his eyes filled with unspoken questions. The home that had always been a place of unity and shared laughter now carried an empty seat at the table, a space that would soon be left behind. With the inheritance in hand, the younger son prepared to leave. The weight of the coins in his pockets felt light compared to the heaviness in his heart. He looked back one last time at the home that would soon become a memory, and perhaps one day a place of return. As he passed through the gates of his childhood, a gentle wind brushed his face, whispering both freedom and uncertainty. His decision was not only a search for new experiences, it was also a rupture, a line dividing the known from the unknown. In many homes, inheritance symbolizes legacy and continuity. But here, it served as a starting point for something new and uncertain. The calm that once filled the house's corridors gave way to the silence of waiting, a silence that listens for news from afar. The younger son had stepped into another world, one where his choices would shape the course of his destiny. His decision was not without consequence. Though the father had agreed outwardly, he carried within him a silent burden, the ache of a love already missing what was still alive. The bond between father and son was redefined that day, an act of love that let go, in the hope that one day the son might find his way home, wiser and renewed. As the young man walked away, carrying with him the hopes and fears of an unknown future, he began a journey that would test not only his courage, but the very essence of what he had learned at home. His decisions would not only distance him physically from his father, they would redefine what family meant for everyone involved. The choices made that day would forever transform their lives, marking a before and after that could never be undone. The younger son, full of expectation, set out for a distant country. With a sparkle of new possibilities in his eyes, he carried with him the inheritance his father had so generously given him. The coins clinking in his pockets symbolized not only wealth, but also the freedom to carve his own path. Upon arriving in the new land, the young man discovered a vibrant world filled with novelty and promise. With riches at his disposal, he was soon drawn into a lifestyle he had never experienced before. Lavish feasts, grand celebrations, and a circle of new friends surrounded him, offering a fleeting sense of belonging and acceptance. Each night, he found himself immersed in endless festivities, indulging in pleasures once unknown to him. Yet, as the days passed, the younger son squandered his possessions recklessly, giving little thought to what lay ahead. His pursuit of instant gratification drained his fortune far more quickly than he could have imagined. The coins that once seemed endless vanished, and reality began to take hold. Then, a great famine struck the land. Without money and without true friends to turn to, the young man found himself in a desperate situation. In search of survival, he accepted any work he could find, and thus he became a caretaker of pigs, a humiliating and bitter task for someone of his upbringing. While feeding the swine in the fields, hunger tormented him to the point that he longed to eat the food meant for the animals. His condition was miserable, and a deep loneliness filled his heart. Far from his family and the safety of home, he began to reflect on his condition. The nights of celebration had faded into distant memories, replaced by the stark consequences of his choices. Amid this landscape of deprivation and regret, the young man remembered the comforts of his father's house, the smell of food, the warmth of home, and above all, the unconditional love that had always embraced him. The image of his father, patient, kind, and welcoming, came to him like a gentle light in the midst of despair. It was a memory that not only warmed his heart, but also awakened a deep longing to return. The life he thought he had chosen now lay shattered before his eyes, and the home he once wanted to leave had become his deepest desire. Pressed by hunger and homesickness, the younger son began to consider returning, a path he had never imagined taking. Pride, once unshakable, gave way to a childlike yearning for the home he had lost. The lessons now came not from words, but from lived experience, and a new understanding began to form within him as his journey continued. The young man stood at an emotional crossroads where every conflicting feeling fought for space within his heart. Surrounded by a mixture of remorse and hope, he decided that now, more than ever, it was time to return home. The decision was neither easy nor sudden. It had been ripening in his heart for some time. He knew that facing his father was inevitable, yet fear of rejection followed him like a persistent shadow. Still, the deep and unconditional love he felt for his family burned brighter than any pride or fear that remained. With cautious and trembling steps, he began to rehearse the words he would say, shaping each sentence of his sincere confession with care and humility. As he took the road that led him home, he became lost in precious memories, moments of joy alongside his father and brother, mornings filled with sunlight as they worked together in the fertile fields. He could almost hear the stirring of the animals at dawn and the cheerful laughter that filled their family dinners, moments of pure joy and simplicity. Each step forward brought him not only physically closer to his home, but spiritually nearer as well, reviving the lessons that hardship and time had engraved upon his soul. With every memory, his resolve grew stronger. The road was long, demanding more than physical strength. It tested his determination and the depth of his desire for reconciliation. Yet the thought of seeing his father again, of finally looking into his eyes, confessing his mistakes, and seeking forgiveness became a powerful force that carried him onward. His heart, once hardened by youthful pride and reckless rebellion, was now softened and filled with compassion for himself and for the wrongs he had done. With each step, he pictured the moment he both feared and longed for, standing before his father's door, falling to his knees in humility, admitting his failures and pleading for a place, even if it was the humblest among the servants. This journey back home was more than a physical path. It was also an inner pilgrimage. Every person he passed along the way, every feature of the landscape that reminded him of a familiar face, rekindled within him the longing to return to the place that had always been his true home. The earthy, familiar scent rising from the ground, the melodious, yet sometimes melancholic songs of distant birds, all conspired to awaken memories of a time that seemed lost, yet now drew near to a new and tangible reality. As the son approached his hometown, a tumultuous mix of anxiety and anticipation began to fill his heart. Though fear of rejection lingered beneath the surface, the hope of renewal, of a second chance, prevailed. He knew that his return would not erase his past mistakes, but he believed it could mark the beginning of a new chapter. What he longed for most was a simple gesture of welcome, proof that his once misguided choices had shaped him into someone changed. Even when the landscape appeared harsh and uncertain, the final stretch of his journey felt like an offering, a tribute to the man he was becoming. The image of his father, ever watchful and compassionate, became an unending source of courage. In both mind and heart, the young man prepared to leave behind the burdens of his past and open himself to the possibility of forgiveness. The end of his journey was near, and the long-awaited reunion was about to begin. And then the moment came. After his long journey of self-reflection and resolve, the son finally saw his old home in the distance. With each step, a whirlwind of emotion stirred within him, fear of rejection mingling with the fragile hope of reconciliation. Then, something extraordinary happened. The father, who had kept watch day after day, gazing toward the horizon in hope of seeing his son again, suddenly recognized him. Without hesitation, he ran to meet him. In the culture of that time, for an elder or a man of standing to run was considered undignified, a breaking of decorum. Yet no custom, no symbol of propriety could outweigh the Father's love. He ran not only with his feet, but with his heart overflowing with compassion and unconditional love. There was no glance of reproach, no tone of disappointment, only open arms, ready to embrace the Son without restraint or condemnation. The Son, still overwhelmed by the unexpected warmth of his Father's welcome, began to voice his long-rehearsed apology. Yet the words he had prepared so carefully for so many days now seemed small in the presence of such love. Before he could even finish his confession, the Father was already calling his servants with joy and urgency, instructing them to bring a new robe and the family ring. These were not mere ornaments. The robe symbolized restoration and dignity, and the ring was a sign that he was still part of the family, not as a servant, but as a son. There is something profoundly moving and universally human in the way the Father's irrepressible love turned a moment that could have been filled with shame into a celebration of acceptance. By placing the robe on his Son's shoulders and the ring on his hand, he declared unmistakably that all was forgiven. No explanations were demanded, no penance required. The simple act of returning was reason enough for joy. This act of grace not only renewed the bond between them, but transformed a household once marked by absence into a place of celebration. The Father could easily have allowed the weight of the past and its consequences to overshadow that moment. Instead, he chose to look forward with hope, to rebuild what had been broken. Meanwhile, the Son, now clothed in the new robe and feeling the reassuring weight of the ring upon his finger, experienced an inner transformation that mirrored the outward expression of his Father's love. He felt accepted, loved, and restored to his rightful place. Through these simple yet deeply symbolic gestures, the distance between them was bridged, and the emptiness left by separation was filled with the fullness of forgiveness and a Father's unwavering love. As the sun shone brightly over the fields, the elder brother worked tirelessly. He had spent countless hours under the heat, laboring diligently to keep the land fruitful and sustain the family. As the day drew to a close, the elder brother began walking back home, longing for a brief rest before the next day's labor began anew. But as he neared the house, something caught his attention. Music and laughter drifted through the air. The sound of festivity was not what he expected at the end of a long, weary day. Curious and unsettled, he drew closer, trying to make sense of what was happening. In the fading light of dusk, a servant approached, perhaps sensing his questions. With a tone that carried both curiosity and unease, the elder brother asked about the celebration that seemed to have overtaken the household. Cheerfully, the servant replied that the younger brother had returned, and that the father, overwhelmed with joy, had ordered a great feast to honor the son they had once thought lost. The revelation stirred a storm of emotions within him. Understanding mingled with resentment, and awareness gave way to anger. He had always been there, loyal, obedient, steady, never once abandoning his duties or questioning his father's will. Yet now, upon returning from a day of hard labor, he found his wayward brother welcomed, as though he were a hero returning from some noble quest. The elder brother remained outside, the echo of music and laughter serving as both invitation and reminder, a contrast between celebration and neglect. It seemed as though all his years of faithfulness, all his quiet sacrifices, had suddenly been eclipsed by the return of one who had squandered everything. The feast unfolding inside appeared to mock his sense of justice, leaving him alone in the shadow of his own devotion. And as the music continued, an invisible battle raged within him. He felt like an outsider, both physically and emotionally. The joy within those walls did not seem to recognize the ache of one who had never left. A single question throbbed in his mind. Why should the return of one who left be cause for such rejoicing, while the presence of one who stayed went uncelebrated? Thus, enveloped by emotion and reflection, the elder brother lingered at a distance, weighed down by disappointment and silent expectation. There, between the glow of the celebration and the shadow of his own heart, he stood, waiting to decide his next step, a decision that would shape not only his story, but the greater story unfolding within that house of life. While he remained outside, struggling to name what he felt, the father came out to meet him. With calm steps and eyes full of tenderness, he approached and said, "My son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours." But we had to celebrate and be glad, for this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and has been found. In that moment, suspended between resentment and mercy, the elder brother faced the same crossroads his younger brother once had: to remain distant or to let himself be reached by love. The parable ends here, leaving us before this unfinished choice, a decision whose resolution lies not in the words of the story, but in the heart of each one who hears it. And so, we conclude our journey through the parable of the Prodigal Son, a timeless story that teaches us about the transforming power of forgiveness and reconciliation. We have seen how the younger son's return stirred complex emotions within his brother, reminding us to reflect on how we ourselves respond to grace and justice in our own lives. Are we ready to extend the same forgiveness and love that a father showed, not only to others, but also to ourselves? The parable invites us to reconsider our expectations and the true worth of our actions. Thank you for joining us in this reflection. If you enjoyed this message and wish to explore more inspiring stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, A Vision of Heaven. By subscribing, you become part of a community seeking to uncover the deeper meanings of Scripture and to live guided by them. And of course, share this message with someone who may need to hear it today. May God bless you, and we hope to see you again soon in our next spiritual journey.